Okay, so we are going to talk today about the Power Platform and the integration with Visual Studio, but also with Visual Studio Code. Because
We might do Visual Studio Code.
Yeah? Okay, so my name is Daniel Laskowitz. I work at Microsoft as a senior cloud advocate. We are going to talk about the Power Platform and development. So the Power Platform is a low-code, no-code platform, and that might sound a little bit weird together with development, because a lot of people know that, for instance, if you use Power Apps, you can click and drag and drop and create apps that way. But there are also a bunch of pro dev or code first development things that we can use. You can use Power Automate Cloud Flows, which are like logic apps, if everybody knows that. And you also have an RPA tool that you can use so that you can install it on your desktop machine, and you can automate processes that don't have an API. That's basically the only reason why you want to use that. So during this session, we will focus mostly on Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Pages. There are tons of other parts as well. We of course have the Azure kind of layer where we can also extend to. We have Dataverse, which is the database that comes with the Power Platform. We have tons of other things we can connect to SQL databases, to Graph API. We have GitHub and Azure DevOps. So you can use that as well to, for instance, put your apps and your solutions that you have inside of source control. So that's also possible. And we also have our code tools, developer tools. The Power Platform developer tools are to kind of export your solutions, to act upon your solutions and those kinds of things. And we have Visual Studio and VS Code, which we can use to also have certain processes that we want to enable for the developer. So the first scenario that we are going to show, I really like doing demos, so
I'll prep the demo.
Okay, so the first scenario that we're going to do is something with an inventory management system. We have a web API, an inventory management API, and we are going to use Visual Studio to create a custom connector in the Power Platform that's on the left side. And a custom connector, for the people that don't know that, it's basically an open API file. So it's a description of the API that you are going to connect to. And of course, when you use a web API and it can generate an open API file, and that gets pushed to the Power Platform, and that creates a custom connector. I am in an environment. Environments are really important in the Power Platform because you can have multiple environments, dev, QA, test, whatever you want to name it, production environments. In this case, we created one environment, build NL environment, and that's where I'm in. I currently have no custom connectors in there, if all goes well. So there's no custom connectors here. If you are more on the low-code side, you can, for instance, also create a custom connector from here. I have a web API here which will add a Swagger file, for instance. We have a bunch of things in here to get warehouses, to get items inside of warehouses, and to see how many inventory do we have on hand. And to connect this to the Power Platform, we introduced a connected service. So if I right-click on connected service and I hit add, at the bottom there is Microsoft Power Platform, and when I click on that, I will be able to log in first. We already did that to save some time, of course, but I can log into my account here, and I can see all the environments that I just showed at the side. I can see them here as well, and I can select to which environment I want to connect. And in here, the next option is that I can create a custom connector. When I hit the plus here, I can select, again, the environment and the connector name. In this case, I'm going to use it as an invent API underscore connector. So let's create that. You can already see that there's an OpenAPI v2 specification that will be auto-generated. You can also pick one if you want to. And then we have a dev tunnel. The dev tunnel is what we can use to debug the API. And that's something that's really new, because before we didn't have that option to kind of live debug your API with the Power Platform. And that's something that a lot of developers want. So let's move and finish and see what will happen. Because what it will do now, it will set all the settings that we just enabled. So the dev tunnels are in here. It will generate the OpenAPI specification file, and it will create a custom connector.
As we are running slightly behind schedule, I was going to suggest that we go and have lunch. So thank you again to API and to Daniel and to everybody for coming to this session today. Thank you very much. Big round of applause, please.